Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Signal that comes out of an electronic system. What is produced in a given time period? The quantity of something, as a commodity, that is created, usually within a given period of time. Final product. The things produced. Production of a certain amount. To create or manufacture a specific amount. The computer is outputting the data from the job I'm running. Signal that comes out of an electronic system. What is produced in a given time period? A set of clothing, with accessories. What is produced in a given time period? A part of a road that has been widened to allow cars to pass or park. A short stretch of railroad track used to store rolling stock or enable trains on the same line to pass. Attendance for a particular event or purpose, as to vote in an election. The turnout for the rally. Ballet, the outward rotation of a dancer's leg from the hip. The group that gathers together for a particular occasion. A large turnout for the meeting. An artifact that has been created by someone or some process. They export most of their agricultural production. The quantity of something, as a commodity, that is created, usually within a given period of time. Production was up in the second quarter. A display that is exaggerated or unduly complicated. She tends to make a big production out of nothing. A presentation for the stage or screen or radio or television. Have you seen the new production of Hamlet? Economics, manufacturing or mining or growing something, usually in large quantities, for sale. He introduced more efficient methods of production. Law, the act of exhibiting in a court of law. The appellate court demanded the production of all documents. The act or process of producing something. Shakespeare's production of poetry was enormous. The creation of value or wealth by producing goods and services. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. Be the cause or source of. End resistance, as under pressure or force. The door yielded to repeated blows with a battering ram. Move in order to make room for someone for something. Consent reluctantly. Give or supply. This year's crop yielded 1,000 bushels of corn. Be flexible under stress of physical force. Give in, as to influence or pressure. Give over. Surrender or relinquish to the physical control of another. The quantity of something, as a commodity, that is created, usually within a given period of time. Be willing to concede. Bring in. Production of a certain amount. An amount of a product. Be fatally overwhelmed. Cause to happen or be responsible for. Cease opposition. Stop fighting. Final product. The things produced. Structure displaying a board on which advertisements can be posted. The highway was lined with signboards. A perceptible indication of something not immediately apparent, as a visible clue that something has happened. He showed signs of strain. Mark with one's signature. Write one's name, on. She signed the letter and sent it off. Make the sign of the cross over someone in order to call on God for protection. Consecrate. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Signals from the boat suddenly stopped. Engage by written agreement. They signed 2 new pitchers for the next season. Used of the language of the deaf. An event that is experienced as indicating important things to come. It was a sign from God. Approve and express assent, responsibility, or obligation. Have you signed your contract yet? Communicate silently and non-verbally by signals or signs. He signed his disapproval with a dismissive hand gesture. Astrology, one of 12 equal areas into which the zodiac is divided. Having an indicated pole, as the distinction between positive and negative electric charges. Charges of opposite sign. A character indicating a relation between quantities. Don't forget the minus sign. A fundamental linguistic unit linking a signifier to that which is signified. The bond between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. A gesture that is part of a sign language. A public display of a message. He posted signs in all the shop windows. Be engaged by a written agreement. He signed to play the casino on December 18th. Communicate in sign language. I don't know how to sign, so I could not communicate with my deaf cousin. Medicine. Any objective evidence of the presence of a disorder or disease. There were no signs of asphyxiation. Place signs, as along a road. Sign an intersection. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Be a signal for or a symptom of. The economic indicators signal that the euro is undervalued. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Signals from the boat suddenly stopped. Communicate silently and non-verbally by signals or signs. The diner signaled the waiters to bring the menu. An electric quantity, voltage or current or field strength, whose modulation represents coded information about the source from which it comes. Any incitement to action. He awaited the signal to start. Notably out of the ordinary. The year saw one signal triumph for the Labour Party. The set of elements common to 2 or more sets. An artifact that has been created by someone or some process. They improve their product every year. Commodities offered for sale. That store offers a variety of products. A quantity obtained by multiplication. The product of 2 and 3 is 6. A chemical substance formed as a result of a chemical reaction. A product of lime and nitric acid. A consequence of someone's efforts or of a particular set of circumstances. Skill is the product of hours of practice. An estimated quantity. Put in order or neaten. Make the bed. Eliminate urine. Have a bowel movement. Institute, enact, or establish. Make laws. Create by artistic means. Make by combining materials and parts. Give certain properties to something. Don't make this into a big deal. Create or design, often in a certain way. Charge with a function. Charge to be. Induce to have sex. Head into a specified direction. Achieve a point or goal. Earn on some commercial or business transaction. Earn as salary or wages. How much do you make a month in your new job? Represent fictitiously, as in a play, or pretend to be or act like. She makes like an actress. Proceed along a path. Make one's way into the forest. The act of mixing cards haphazardly. Reach a goal. Make the first team. Organize or be responsible for. Have, throw, or make a party. Give rise to. Cause to happen or occur, not always intentionally. Make a stir. Make, formulate, or derive in the mind. Make an estimate. Reach a destination, either real or abstract. Engage in. Make love, not war. Cause to do. Cause to act in a specified manner. Prepare for eating by applying heat. Can you make me an omelet? A recognizable kind. What make of car is that? To compose or represent. This makes a fine introduction. Make or cause to be or to become. Make a mess in one's office. Create or manufacture a man-made product. Act in a certain way so as to acquire. Make friends. Add up to. 4 and 4 make 8. Amount to. This salary increase makes no difference to my standard of living. Appear to begin an activity. Assure the success of. A good review by this critic will make your play. Behave in a certain way. Make merry. Be or be capable of being changed or made into. He makes a great host. Be suitable for. Wood makes good furniture. Calculate as being. I make the height about 100 feet. Carry out or commit. Make a mistake. Cause to be enjoyable or pleasurable. Make my day. Change from one form into another. Make water into wine. Compel or make somebody or something to act in a certain way. Heat makes you sweat. Consider as being. Constitute the essence of. Clothes make the man. Develop into. He will make a splendid father. Favor the development of. Practice makes the winner. Form by assembling individuals or constituents. Gather and light the materials for. Make a fire. Make by shaping or bringing together constituents. Make a dress. Perform or carry out. Make a decision. Reach in time. Undergo fabrication or creation. This wool makes into a nice sweater. Come to have or undergo a change of physical features and attributes. Bring out for display. The proud father produced many pictures of his baby. cause to happen, occur or exist. This procedure produces a curious effect. Fresh fruits and vegetable grown for the market. Bring onto the market or release. Produce a movie. Bring forth or yield. The tree would not produce fruit. Cultivate by growing, often involving improvements by means of agricultural techniques. The Bordeaux region produces great red wines. Create or manufacture a man-made product. We produce more cars than we can sell. Create by artistic means. Create a poem. Make or cause to be or to become. Create a furor. Create or manufacture a man-made product. Bring into existence. The company was created 25 years ago. Invest with a new title, office, or rank. Pursue a creative activity. Be engaged in a creative activity. The output of a computer in printed form. The output of a computer in readable form. An electronic device that displays information in a visual form. The information displayed or recorded on an electronic device. The output of a computer in readable form. An electronic device that displays information in a visual form. The information displayed or recorded on an electronic device. Output relative to input. The amount passing through a system from input to output, especially of a computer program over a period of time. The quantity of a crop that is harvested. He sent the first picking of berries to the market. The person or thing chosen or selected. He was my pick for mayor. A heavy iron tool with a wooden handle and a curved head that is pointed on both ends. They used picks and sledges to break the rocks. Pull lightly but sharply with a plucking motion. Pay for something. Pick up the tab. Look for and gather. Pick mushrooms. The act of choosing or selecting. You can take your pick. The best people or things in a group. Harass with constant criticism. Don't always pick on your little brother. Eat intermittently. Take small bites of. Remove unwanted substances from, such as feathers or pits. A small thin device, of metal or plastic or ivory, used to pluck a stringed instrument. The yarn woven across the warp yarn in weaving. Attack with or as if with a pickaxe of ice or rocky ground, for example. Hit lightly with a picking motion. A basketball maneuver. Obstructing an opponent with one's body. He was called for setting an illegal pick. A thin sharp implement used for removing unwanted material. He used a pick to clean the dirt out of the cracks. Pilfer or rob. Pickpockets. Provoke. Pick a fight or a quarrel. Remove in small bits. Pick meat from a bone. Select carefully from a group. She finally picked her successor. The quantity of a crop that is harvested. He sent the first picking of berries to the market. The act of picking, crops or fruit or hops, etc. The total output of a writer or artist, or a substantial part of it. cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. The yield from plants in a single growing season. Let feed in a field or pasture or meadow. Prepare for crops. Feed as in a meadow or pasture. A pouch in many birds and some lower animals that resembles a stomach for storage and preliminary maceration of food. A collection of people or things appearing together. The annual crop of students brings a new crop of ideas. A cultivated plant that is grown commercially on a large scale. Cut short. She wanted her hair cropped short. The output of something in a season. The latest crop of fashions is about to hit the stores. The stalk or handle of a whip. Yield crops. This land crops well. The total output of a writer or artist, or a substantial part of it. He studied the entire Wagnerian oeuvre. A movement in a new direction. The turning of the wind. The act of changing or reversing the direction of the course. Act of changing in practice or custom. The law took many turnings over the years. A shaving created when something is produced by turning it on a lathe. The activity of shaping something on a lathe. The end product created by shaping something on a lathe. Make uniform. Work the clay until it is soft. Perform as expected when applied. This old radio doesn't work anymore. Be employed. Is your husband working again? Applying the mind to learning and understanding a subject, especially by reading. Mastering a second language requires a lot of work. Have and exert influence or effect. The artist's work influenced the young painter. Make something, usually for a specific function. Cause to happen or to occur as a consequence. I cannot work a miracle. The occupation for which you are paid. A lot of people are out of work. Cause to work. He is working his servants hard. Find the solution to a problem or question, or understand the meaning of. This unpleasant situation isn't going to work itself out. A product produced or accomplished through the effort or activity or agency of a person or thing. It is not regarded as one of his more memorable works. Have an effect or outcome, often the one desired or expected. The voting process doesn't work as well as people thought. Use or manipulate to one's advantage. She knows how to work the system. Proceed along a path. Work one's way through the crowd. Prepare for crops. Shape, form, or improve a material. Work stone into tools. A place where work is done. He arrived at work early today. Cause to undergo fermentation. The vintner worked the wine in big oak vats. The total output of a writer or artist, or a substantial part of it. Picasso's work can be divided into periods. Give a workout to. My personal trainer works me hard. Go sour or spoil. The wine worked. Activity directed toward making or doing something. She checked several points needing further work. arrive at a certain condition through repeated motion. The stitches of the hem worked loose after she wore the skirt many times. Behave in a certain way when handled. This dough does not work easily. Cause to operate or function. This pilot works the controls. Exert oneself by doing mental or physical work for a purpose or out of necessity. I will work hard to improve my grades. Gratify and charm, usually in order to influence. The political candidate worked the crowds. Move in an agitated manner. His fingers worked with tension. Move into or onto. Work the raisins into the dough. Operate in a certain place, area, or specialty. She works the nightclubs. Operate in or through. Physics. A manifestation of energy. The transfer of energy from one physical system to another expressed as the product of a force and the distance through which it moves a body in the direction of that force. Work equals force times distance. Proceed towards a goal or along a path or through an activity. Work your way through every problem or task. Provoke or excite. The rock musician worked the crowd of young girls into a frenzy. Gather, as of natural products. Harvest the grapes. The yield from plants in a single growing season. The gathering of a ripened crop. The season for gathering crops. Remove from a culture or a living or dead body, as for the purposes of transplantation. Should one harvest organs from dead people for transplants? The consequence of an effort or activity. They gathered a harvest of examples.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.